Just let everyone know we are now streaming live. Firstly, a big welcome to Environment Services Committee this evening. It's great to see so many members of the public here to contribute on various items. Also welcome to any members of the public watching online. We will start with apologies for absence. Apologies have been received from Councillor Harmsworth, who has been substituted by Councillor Furman. Are there any other apologies or substitutions?
Councillor Hayes has sent his apologies and he's been substituted by Councillor Peter.
Right, so can I just ask for a show of hands to approve the apologies and substitutions? Those in favour? All those against? And any abstentions?
I voted in as a substitute. Yeah, I vote for them.
Unanimous.
So that is unanimous. We've been pre-notified of any declarations of interest.
No declaration of interest.
Thank you. Would anyone like to highlight any declarations of interest at this point? And of course, do it later in the meeting if you think of anything. Councillor O'Leary.
It's non-pecuniary, but I did have a conversation with the owner of the Oasis Cafe relating to the Beechcraft licence, and where he is a landowner down there. But that was just to make the fact I had that conversation public.
Thank you. Councillor Hope.
Yeah, to declare a non-pecuniary interest in item 11 fairgrounds. Through the charity sector, the charity that across deals with many different operators, both current users of current tenants who buy the fee land and potential tenants.
Are there any other declarations of interest at this point? If you think of anything as the meeting carries on, please do just raise your hands and declare it as appropriate. At this point, we're asked to approve the minutes of the last meeting held on the 10th of July this year. And we are voting to approve whether they are a true and accurate record. So members are asked to agree the minutes of the last meeting as a true and accurate record and that they be signed as such. Now we show of hands, all those in favour. All those against? And any abstentions? 4 abstentions. Now we move on to council questions. We have received a statement from Councillor Weller. That is going to be read out during the item. She's aware of that, been communicated to her. So that will be reserved until that point in the agenda. Are there any other councillor questions? Marvellous. So moving swiftly on. We are going to play about with the agenda order slightly out of respect to the members of the public that have given up their time this evening. So what we are going to do, we are going to move item 10, Preston Watercraft Permits, item 11, the fairgrounds, and item 12, the fireworks, up the agenda. So we are going to shift those ahead of item 7. So we're going to make a start on those now. And what I'm going to be looking, what I'd like to happen is we're going to have the introduction to the item from the relevant officer, then we'll go to public questions, responses from the officers, and then move into the debate. Okay, and hopefully that frees up everyone's evening, get a bit of an earlier night. So, are there any other public questions at this point? Any other items on the agenda? Thank you. Okay, so we are going to skip ahead to item 10, the Preston Watercraft Permit, and Will Holmes is going to introduce that report for us.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of this report is to seek approval for a year-round watercraft storage permit at Preston Beach. This permit will allow residents to store their watercrafts in a designated area, providing easier access to the water. Having a specific storage zone will help keep the beach tidy and ensure all watercraft are stored in one place. Permit holders will be required to sign and adhere to the terms and conditions provided by the council. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We've been pre-notified of 3 questions or statements from members of the public. First up on my notes here is Paul Trussler. So if Paul would like to either stand where you are or you can come up to the table, up to you.
Right, President, so if this is considered a supervision, I'm thinking it's going to be stored with master visual impact and
Okay. I think the Assistant Town Clerk is going to respond to your question. Thank you.
If agreed, officers can ensure that any watercraft stored in the permitted areas must have their mast removed or lowered and stored. It can include this in the licence terms and conditions if it's approved this evening.
Thank you very much. Did you want to come back on that? Thank you very much. The next public question was from, or is due to be from Carol Fitzpatrick. Carol here? Okay, I think the Assistant Town Clerk has a question to be read out.
Carol's question was, if this is a trial, what constitutes it being a success or failure, and when will it be reviewed? So in discussion by resort team, the success of the trial will be measured by improvements in the organisation and tidiness of designated storage area, compliance with the permit system and positive feedback from residents and beachgoers. Failure would be indicated by continued disorganisation, unauthorised storage, uptake or frequent complaints. The trial will be reviewed if successful, like if it's successful this evening, it will be reviewed after 1 year. These factors determining its continuation, adjustment and determination.
Thank you very much. And next is a statement to be read by Matthew Pye, please.
we think, I agree with Paul about the masks, the visual impact, so I'm sure I live on the corner, so I can help manage the masks to lower. Brief history, I've lived all my life. But from the 30s up where we've been pushing that, that's nothing new, but recently I've got a boat on the beach and I live there, all sailing, and I personally enjoy sailing, and my friends join me, they put their boats there and it just spread. So they dig it out of town, it wasn't tidy, and we went there on the beach and all my neighbours, and we kept the beach tidy and hope to get a permit so that we can put it. I think the price will put people off, a lot of people. It's great, isn't it? But the price is not very important. So I think there'll be a few votes there, not as many as there was before. That's about it really. I think there might have been, but that was due to the way the votes were stored. Instead I'm happy to help manage that area of the beach and tidy.
Thank you very much, Matthew. Thank you very much. So that concludes the public questions I've been made aware of on this one. Are there any other members of the public looking to speak to this item? Thank you. So at this point, we'll go to the members. Councillor sat around the room this evening. And I can see Councillor O'Leary would like to come in on this one.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. First of all, this isn't my town council ward, but it is my county council ward. This issue has been an issue for me for over a year. I raised it with the beach manager, the mess along that section of the beach. The problem is part of the beach is owned by us, part of the beach is owned privately, as discussed earlier by Oasis Cafe. I'm in 2 minds about this because what I would like to see, in all fairness, is a clear and tidy beach. If I have my way, the issue I have is if we don't have a permit system, is, following my conversation earlier, that all of the boats would then just be stored on private land where we cannot manage them. So I am in 2 minds about that. But then again, do you then accommodate what is effectively untidiness because you're afraid of going to private land? I would be interested to see obviously how a trial does go out and whether it does alter that. I've seen the photos of how it would look. Yeah, it would look better, but in my mind, I still don't believe this section of the beach should just then be a storage area. We wouldn't have it on the main section of the beach. We wouldn't have it on another piece of council owned land, such as a green field next to some houses. If I was to store, if I took up, sailing and canoeing and kayaking, whatever, is a hobby. But so is, for instance, quad biking. I wouldn't believe in storing a quad bike on a council owned field and then offer to pay a permit on it. I mean, just because it's a beach doesn't mean that it should be treated separately in that regard. So I am minded to vote against it and just go for the option of proper enforcement. But I am also tempted to vote in favour of the trial, see how it works out. So I'm once in my life on the fence about something. But I am of the opinion I would like to see the beach as tidy and as clean as possible.
Would anyone like to speak on the answer? Councillor Northern.
Thank you, Chair. When I thought this, I thought about smallmouth. And smallmouth has a number of cracks. Recently, there were some complaints about the mess that was there and such like. I have no idea how smallmouth works. I'd recommend you ask in the area, Will. I wanted to ask Will, if I may, whether permission or any engagement conversation is taking place with the Environment Agency. Because I remember when Topcoat Cafe asked to extend its license out.
Yeah.
It was told that it wasn't sensible because of the high seas through the winter.
Yeah.
However, I think most of the boats wouldn't leave them, most of the owners wouldn't leave them there. So I think a conversation needs to take place with the Environment Agency because they objected to that license being extended for a longer period. I was surprised they had the authority, but that's why I think we need to talk to them. And the second one is beach ownership is very confusing at times. I think it's access to the beach that is owned, not the beach itself. And again, I think that needs to be checked. Lastly, picture there, I haven't had this one, but the picture prompts it. You shouldn't be blocking the slipway. That slipway is there for emergency use as well. So there need to be rules and regulations, which I'm sure would come in. So I don't know if you could respond on the Environment Agency if you have it.
With regards to the Environment Agency, the difference between these and the Top Cat Cafe is Top Cat permanent structure. So you can't take it away within it's not, it's semi-permanent, but you have to take it away within a certain amount of period of time. So with these, you could get them out extremely quickly. So there isn't an issue there with the Environment Agency.
Maybe the owner's list.
With regards to the second beach ownership, Dorset Council own the beach and we lease it from them. So we have overarching management of the beach. Then with regards to the third question, that's the photos of what it was looking like down there. So that's the reason why we didn't want it like that, because of blocking the slipway. And that's why the designated area was away from the slipway.
Thank you.
Councillor Toff first, because she's already spoken once, I'll come to you shortly. Councillor Toff.
Chairman, I'd just like to say, first of all, smallmouth is portable. They decide what happens. And I saw a lovely picture today of all of their kind of stuff all round up. Yes, great. Anyway, can I ask, are we providing secure points for people to attach their boats and crafts to, so they're not going to get stolen if they're paying £125 a year? And will they be insured against such theft?
I know I brought this up in our pre-meet, so Will, are you happy to respond on that one?
Yeah, that's fine. So as part of this, we will be looking to put some small eyelets onto the wall so that people can secure them. When it comes to the insurance side of things, it is in the terms and conditions, it will be clear that it is their responsibility.
What is the consequence of somebody who doesn't have a permit, you're going to take it away? Please take it away. Please release it, or will it just come back again?
Over to you, Will.
So I can't remember exactly what section it is, but within the local government, we have something we follow for lost and found property. So we follow that, so it would technically be classed as lost property. We would collect it, hold it for 28 days, and if nobody comes to collect it, we would then dispose of it. If they come and collect it within that 28 days, we would be very firm with them of why we've taken it away and why it can't get back to them.
Councillor Hope.
Yeah, thanks very much. I think hearing from the residents, no one's opposed to this, and if anything, it gives more control over a situation that's been unsightly and unpleasant for beach users and local residents. My question is, if we implement a designated point currently here with the signage and the permits, stop a user from going on another situation with the beach, would those rules apply? Just explain them to Councillor Atkinson. So if someone moved their watercraft but away from the parking bays and left it there, you'd still remove it and say that's the designated spot to use it, you have to pay that. The other point is with the cost of involved in this, you've mentioned in the costing £180 plus VAT, initial setup costs for signage. But I was interested to hear that you said you also have pilots on the wall because there's no costings in the report for that. But will that increase that initial £180 because you're going to need additional equipment? And I understand for each permit that's issued, there'll be £8 for the waterproof packaging that it's stuck to the watercraft to say it's theirs.
The proposed fee was 125.
Yeah.
And with those pilots, we can, it would be very, very minimal cost that we could do that.
So the installation, you understand, we can do in-house. Again, there is an additional cost. I think it's just for clarity really more than anything, well, but, you know, one could argue that compared to the council's budget, £180 for signage is the minimum. I think it's really just important we have a clear understanding that to set this up is £180 signage and maybe an additional £100 in items, just that we understand and the public understands the costs involved.
Yep.
But for the reasons I stated during my original point, I'm happy to support this. It makes the beach area more visually pleasing place because at the moment there's no control. And it sounds like local residents would welcome that approach. I'm happy to fully support this. Happy to propose.
Councillor Leary, I know you've had your hand up for a while.
Yes, thank you. Two questions. If someone was to, children play down here, if they were to climb upon these boats, as they do now, and slip off, would we then be liable for any injuries they were to receive? Number two, if I lived along the seafront or Brunswick Terrace, in a flat or in an apartment down there, and I didn't have anywhere to store a kayak or a boat or something, and I then start dragging it over to the beach further and further down, what is stopping a precedent being set all along the entire beach?
So your first point, within the terms and conditions, would be fully covered, and it would be a part of the terms and conditions. And the second point, are you trying to suggest that maybe Green Hill residents may hear about it?
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously an issue for Overcombe at the minute, but if I start seeing it down there and I live down Green Hill, or I lived in town and thought, well, instead of, packing it in my own property, why don't I just start taking it over there because it's fine further down the beach? I'm just concerned it then starts a precedent, or further down at Bowley, which I don't think is but nevertheless, it's then I'm just worried it starts a precedent with this being the beach being used as storage area. For like I say, this is a hobby. It's not a life. It's not a business lifeline or anything like that. It's just a hobby.
So I think with regards to that, I think again it would be part of the trial as we would see how things would go if more people are using it, people are starting to take their watercrafts near a Green Hill or moving stuff, or it's a huge influx of people coming for these permits. I think we would definitely be constantly reviewing that and seeing how it goes.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. At this point, I'm going to go back to Councillor Hope, who just wants to clarify something about the proposal.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. So the Chair's just asked me to clarify the proposal that I've made, and that is to approve the year-round watercraft storage permit for residents at Preston Beach with the amendment to the terms and conditions to include removing the masks.
Councillor Toft, are you happy to maintain seconding that on that basis? Would anyone like to speak to the proposal at this point before we go to the vote fairly soon?
Yep. So just, I agree with councillor Northern. We don't know what the Environment Agency are going to say. Secondly, do we need planning permission? No?
We know that it's fine with the Environment Agency because of previous conversations and it's not permanent structure. We don't need to.
I just say one thing. I like it.
Not technically. Go on, allow it.
The yellow ball, the designated sailing area, that's the area of the sound. Holding play, the concerns. The top of the country. You should probably order some of the sales out of that yellow area. To.
Thank you, that's really useful clarification, so thank you very much. Okay, at this point, we've got a proposer and a seconder for the recommendation originally written, plus the amendment to require masks to be removed during storage. So we'll go to the vote at this stage. And all those in favour?
This is just a 1-year trial.
I think the trial vote has come out.
Jason,
Oh, right, should have been on there.
Fine.
Thank you very much.
In the trial.
Yeah.
The 5-year round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point. Thank you very much. So, as written on the board, all those in favour? Yes. All those against? Any abstentions? Okay, the recommendation as written is passed. Thank you very much. And thank you to the members of the public who contributed and gave up your time this evening. Very much appreciated. Thank you. At this point, we're going to move to what was originally written as item 11, which are the fairgrounds. I'm going to ask the Assistant Town Clerk to introduce the item. Then I'm aware we've got a pre-submitted statement and question from the public, which we'll go to, and then you'll receive a response, and then we'll go into the debate.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Members, as per the report before you this evening, officers are recommending that the committee approves the post dates detailed in the report for funfair bookings at Pavilion Forecourt Jubilee Plot sites next season, 2025. Since the dispatch of this agenda, we have received additional feedback from the youth services team. They have stated that in terms of direct issues linked to the fairground, they didn't have any, and in previous years they've had reports of young people fighting in the vicinity and causing antisocial behaviour, people using the fairground, but this year that wasn't the case. They did have a number of young people gathering in the spaces in and around the fairground, but they said this is to be expected. The team have also provided feedback regarding the location of temporary toilets, and this is something that officers are dealing with and will take away. It should also be noted that due to the works and harbour rules that were announced earlier this week, at this stage, the Auckland Council are only able to commit to having the forecourt to Raymond Town Council for fairgrounds for the 2025 season. In addition, the harbour team will not be able to accommodate any accommodation failures on site or in the vicinity of the site for the I've spoken to fairground operators about this and made it clear that should dates be approved this evening for next year, it's their responsibility to pick locations for their accommodation. Last year, the Funfair Working Group did seek to find an alternative location to site fairground, and officers continue to look at alternatives this year, but we've been unable to find anywhere suitable. Therefore, as per the report, members are being asked to approve the proposed date for Funfair bookings filling forecourt, Jubilee Plot site.
Thank you very much. At this point, Claire Wall, would you like to join us with your question? Thank you.
Everyone, as you know, I'm Claire, and many of you sitting tonight knows the history of all this. I've been here the last 3 years progressing with the services regarding the funfairs, and we're still raising the same issues and the same concerns. And what worries me now is you're not listening and you're not doing anything about it, and you're not following your own terms and conditions. Hotels in the clock area raised the issues, and they were quickly addressed, and everybody's happy in that area with the tight conditions you put in place. They want that to continue.
However, the pavilion area never got granted any of those conditions and the issues and concerns are still ongoing. I have followed the fair this summer myself, along with other members and committee. And I am raising your terms and conditions, and I want evidence, if you can please, that you have gone down and monitored that your conditions you've set are being worked on. Because I'm finding they're not.
So I'm happy to come back with that.
And we've had recent emails, we've had conversations. So I want to ask our town council, who's supposed to support the residents and businesses, but it seems they're only supporting the ones in the clock area and the pavilion area that's just been disregarded. And ask the council for evidence as I've stated. And can you continue to relocate the fair, because it's not suitable, the rides are getting higher and faster down in our area now, it's just still I've put Redlands forward, is there an option? Or Radipole Park, we know that they go on fair parks, or fairs, they don't have to be on a small car park in a built up area. Or at the very least, grant the same conditions in the pavilion that you've got in the clock.
Thank you for the question and the points you raised. Over to the Assistant Town Clerk to respond.
There is no difference in the terms and conditions for the pavilion forecourt or the Jubilee Clock site. They have the same conditions. However, following feedback from hoteliers in 2022 at the Environment Services Committee, it was agreed the types of rides permitted at each site would differ. So for the Jubilee Clock, it was agreed that north of the clock there'd be no the north of the clock would accommodate larger taller rides for customers of all ages, not those rides that generate significant noise or visual intrusion. And south of the clock, it was agreed only smaller rides for younger children make less noise could be located there to minimise disturbance to hotels on the opposite side of the Esplanade. No rides at the Jubilee Clock.
No music either.
That is in the terms and conditions for this year. It was last year, but not this year. No rides at Jubilee Clock site should duplicate or be similar to any rides that are on the beach as part of beach attraction sites operate March to October each year. The terms and conditions are the same. It's just the style of, we agreed what style of ride could be located in which location. And at the Pavilion Forecourt, it was agreed that the types and scales of ride was for the officers to agree in conjunction with the chair of the E&S committee and also the ward members at Head Beach Building, which we have been doing. Unfortunately, at the end of this summer, there was a slight change due to there being an incident one of the operators' rides, which had to change at the last minute due to fire damage. In the agenda, it states issues were raised about fun fairs, but this is only after the fun fairs have left. Or any issues and concerns that raised and dealt with on a case-by-case basis. Like we're talking this evening about dates next year, we're not talking about licence conditions. They are dealt with on a case-by-case basis by officers. The council have over 30 licences and leases in place with tenants and licensees, and the contract manager accordingly. New for 2024, we have introduced our phone number, and this has been well received. Many of those that I know yourself and welcome, very helpful. But from that and from my list and going through the log, we only received one phone call in relation to concerns related to fairground.
Thank you very much. So at this point, I'll just remind members of the recommendation we are debating. So this is looking for approval or not of the proposed dates detailed within the report, which I'm sure you've read. Dates are all listed very clearly for fun fair bookings at the Pavilion Forecourt and Jubilee Clock site for the 2025 season. So this is to do with the dates of operation. Are there any councillors that would like to kick us off? Councillor Giant.
Thank you, Chair. I'm a little bit concerned that it's still on the Pavilion Forecourt. Having been down there with a grandchild, it's too small. And I cannot understand, so perhaps you can enlighten me, why it isn't at the back of the pavilion or at Lodmore or any of the other sites. I just don't get it. You could solve the problem in one fell swoop. Because quite frankly, if I was a hotelier or even a resident, I don't think I'd want this very, very large contraption that was on the seafront this year, swinging around to whatever time it is. It's just totally unfair. Because there was a seafood festival at the back of Wellington Pavilion, if that can go on there, why the heck can't the fairground? That would solve all the problems.
At this point, in respect to the Assistant Town Clerk.
So Lodmore Events Area is released up from the Dorset Council, and as part of our lease, we can't put a fairground on that area. it's under the Town and Country Act. I can't remember which year it is, but specifically, we're not allowed to have fairgrounds on the area. So that's out of the, that becomes being my lease with Dorset Council. With regards to the pavilion, we pay for parking space. So whatever parking space, we hire it for Dorset Council. If we had it out the back, it'd be more, because in parking space is more condensed. Also, both the police and the harbour office have raised concerns, saying they wouldn't want it in the railway pavilion due to antisocial behaviour, and also because at the access, the lighting, and they feel having out the back is more secluded, so they wouldn't want it there. And for this year, as we're talking about this year, it isn't possible to make the work happening.
Councillor O'Leary.
Yes, thank you. I'll just kick off on where the deputy town clerk said about the ASB behind the pavilion. If that was the case, then Dorset Council do permit the seafood festival to go there, which is argued has lessened in regard to ASB since it's been behind the pavilion. So therefore, surely if you move the funfair behind there in a controlled space, as we have done with the seafood festival, you could solve that issue there. Speaking to police officers, Monday nights in the summer are a real problem. Because you've got the fireworks, and then on top of that, you've got the funfair. I've had a number of young people in my ward involved in some serious issues. I was speaking to the police just today about that. And it does attract them. So I'm just concerned that the fireworks, which I fully support us, a funfair, which I fully support having a funfair, you double those up on a Monday night, we're creating an awful lot of trouble in the town centre, which we're not meaning to do. We don't do it intentionally, but we are doing it indirectly. Breach of licence concerns, I am concerned. I've had a few people raise to me that they've witnessed and have evidence breaches of licences. Are operators who are found to be breach licences being properly dealt with? And if it gets to a certain stage where it's a repeated offence, surely they should be blacklisted from being considered. One site we haven't mentioned is North Quay, newly developed. I think Councillor Topley raised this at the previous meeting. No one lives down there. Thanks to anybody that does, and I've forgotten about them. It's out of the way, still easily accessible, still in the town centre. Surely that's a prime area to put it in. I'm going to say, sorry. In regards to the report, I was a bit annoyed by the comment that says a small minority of hoteliers. As far as I'm aware, we've never had anybody from the hotel industry here come and speak in support of it. Therefore, if you only have negatives, I'm afraid you take what you have. Come here, you don't take on board people that don't come here. In elections, plenty of people don't vote their votes. We don't take them on board, I'm afraid that's their choice. So I'm just concerned. I mean, I would quite happily have a fairground from May until the end of September all year round in Weymouth. It was one of the run by different operators, as long as it was in an area that isn't affecting hoteliers, isn't affecting residents, and has properly controlled ASB in order. The other one is the security guards for the funfairs. Are the operators using security that are properly licensed?
You point, so would you like to?
So I've quite a few for the River Town Council earlier, so I believe comparing it to the Seafood Festival is unfair. Completely different target market. We've got with the Seafood Festival, it is a different event. It's a very different offer. I don't feel they're comparable. The license issues, as I've mentioned already, these are being dealt with on a case by case basis. If we have evidence, if we show evidence, we can deal with it. But we are dealing with on a case by case basis, and I'm not going to sit here and talk about licenses, terms and conditions, because that's confidential. So I'm not talking about that. We're going to meet that breaches within a meeting. We do deal with on a case by case basis. And you've mentioned that you've had issues raised to you, but please let officers know, because any issues we've had are post event. So any issues we need to know at times we can deal with accordingly. We can actually go and shut the fairgrounds down, so we can't do that unless and we are going out, we are targeting, we've got a beach football team that works 7 days a week into the evenings. We do have people out there monitoring that, and we do also have CCTV that Will and his team link into. North Quay site, unfortunately, isn't available to us. Obviously, they've got procurement and elements coming up in the future regarding future developments, level up funding. So
I'll be 80 then.
Unfortunately, we can't use that site this year. With regards to the minority hoteliers, I have spoken to other people in the industry, and the feeling is we could put a separate survey out, and if we put a survey out, it's felt that it may be that more hoteliers are actually for the fairground than against it, and security are, we can check that. I know where that's come from, and that has been checked. Our contractor has checked that. And with regards to the antisocial behaviour on Monday nights for fireworks, I totally agree with you. Antisocial behaviours are worse on the week on a Monday night, because we do feel it's linked to fireworks. However, as you read in the report, our partners don't necessarily agree it's the fairground, they believe it's linked to the attraction of fireworks.
All right, come back.
Yes, thank you. On North Quay, I've been on, I've been a councillor for 6 years now. I constantly hear about big plans for North Quay and the peninsula. They never ever, they are yet to fail to materialise. I mean, it used to be discussed that, we couldn't use these sites because Dorset Council are hard to deal with. Now that there's been an election and other members in here feel that Dorset Council is now the most wonderful organisation on the planet since it's changed administrations, could we not actually, just in the space of 2 months, could we not actually have another working group to sit down and properly look at sites with officers from Dorset Council? Once again, we have 8 months. We're going to get every year hoteliers, because you said we may find that a majority of hoteliers are in favour. You may find they're not. You're talking on maybes here. The one what I'm concerned about is hoteliers and businesses and residents who are going to be affected that live near it. If I had a hotel down on Brunswick Terrace, you're not going to be bothered because you're not going to be affected by the flashy lights. But if you were staying on the seafront, by Enzo or whatever, and you've got one of those Walter things flashing through your window when you're trying to get to sleep with your kids, you paid an awful lot of money to stay, I'd be quite annoyed. So I would like us to actually set up another working group to say, now we have new councils and a new administration of Dorset Council, properly look at stuff. North Quay, we're told we can't because of this and that. I don't believe in it. I don't believe in positive thinking, and I think there is a way forward on that.
Thank you very much. Is that you want to pay Councillor Fern? No?
Apologies, Chair.
I think my views on the pavilion forecourts, to me, is totally the wrong place for this. Even more so next year, when all these works are going on the Harbour Wall. The car park at the back is only going to be half available. So the pavilion won't be allowed, they don't have disabled parking for those dates. So when they put shows on, we're not supporting our local businesses. You say you can't put anything on Lodmore because how does the circus get on there then?
It's not within the same act, it's completely different.
Yeah.
It seems like you can't have like silly things like laundrettes or carpets. It's a bit up until the circuit.
I would also like to suggest that everybody's talking about the fireworks night, which people really enjoy. That's from the surveys, but a minority spoil it through anti. Can we not tell the fairground people you will close at 5 o'clock on those Monday nights so that we can help the police out? And why haven't we looked at the Swannery where Billy Smart Circus used to go?
We looked at the Swannery previously, and due to the substructure, it isn't safe and we can't do so. And also the cost regarding if you look at the Swannery and the spaces impact, it wouldn't be viable for us to live.
Well, I'll never support anything going on with the pavilion car park, I'm afraid, because to me it's for the pavilion.
Councillor
Councillor Norton.
Yes, sir. Councillor Norton.
You wanted to come back on that specific point, Councillor. I was going to raise another topic.
You go first.
Thank you. It's always difficult, this question. It comes up each year, and I think of tradition. And to me, the fairground is part of Weymouth Beach tradition, and I therefore am generally in support of fairgrounds as an event. We've tried to improve the social behaviours, and that's has increased the surveillance that goes on and the reporting capability that Deputy Town Clerk mentioned. It's a bit like other things. If people don't report problems, then you don't have the evidence to say that they're problems. And I really would urge people to report problems, because without evidence, it's difficult make decisions. That's really my main point, because otherwise it's just this.
Councillor,
Yeah, thank you very much. I just want to follow on actually from Councillor Morgan, so I'm glad I let him go first. I'm afraid this situation comes up year and year again. Last 3 years, 4 years, we sat here and we debated for many hours these same issues. We've explored all other options. They're not available. And I kind of feel that tonight after this debate, you know, we'll be 12 months down the line and we'll have the same discussions again. I'm actually really disappointed, I've got to say this publicly, with the Hotels Association. We've sat down, we've had meetings with them, we've given them the contact details to report the issue so that we can act on them immediately. More than anything, that was to help them so they didn't have to suffer if there was issues. So the fact that none of the Hotels Association have come forward during the time of these incidents, raised them, it's not helping their case. It's not helping us deal with facts and evidence. Now we pick on them on the evenings, and we say during the report here several times that the only identified issue with the antisocial behaviour was the Monday evenings. If we go back 2-3 years ago, when we only had fireworks for 3 Monday nights during the summer, there was no reports of antisocial behaviour then from the fairground. We need to really understand not the fairgrounds attracting the antisocial behaviour, it's the fact that we've got a large scale event on the seafront. Any large scale event on the seafront, free to the public, will have elements of antisocial behaviour. I can guarantee that I will get it at motocross in 5 minutes' time. Because kids will come down, it's free, they'll congregate, and they'll end up causing trouble somewhere. So to point the finger at the fairground, I think is totally unfair. The next thing, when we talk about fireworks, which will be on our agenda later on this evening, we need to finance this. The fairgrounds and the income from the revenue from fairgrounds heavily goes into the funding of our events calendar. So we need to understand that if we reduce this revenue income, what events do we no longer want to do? Or are we expecting the residents and ratepayers of Weymouth to pay more to subsidise these events? Many of those events enjoyed by holiday makers that book their time in the hotels to come to those events. So, you know, we've got to take this in a wider perspective. And I feel that we should move forward with the recommendation as put by the officers this evening.
okay, I know you raised your hand, but we've got.
I'll let allow Councillor Tom.
Councillor Tom.
Thank you. I'd like to say that I agree with Councillor O'Leary that we should ask the new administration what they feel we could do on the plea, because we haven't asked them, we've asked the old administration, and just explain that we keep having them come back to us over and over again. And honestly, we haven't really resolved it. We haven't changed the pavilion forecourt, which is the big issue. And I just think it's wrong. It's wrong for the pavilion. It's wrong for theatre goers to have to run the gauntlet of all that noise to go, presumably, for an enjoyable evening out. And I think we are giving up too soon by just agreeing to the proposal and
Any other cats? Jonathan?
Yeah, I want to go back to the comment earlier, because obviously, as you know, I'm only new to it this year, but when this first came up, you mentioned about looking at other areas. There has to be somewhere in Weymouth where we could hold this, where everybody would be happy. That's daunting. Surely, you know, you could look into this a bit more. I mean, my opinion is the pavilion forecourt is just not a suitable venue. But I am not against fairgrounds, because I understand the holidaymakers come down and it's a big part of Weymouth. So I'm not against a fairground per se, but certainly not a pavilion.
Councillor Morgan.
Thank you. So looking at the fairground periods and looking at the firework period, what's actually the overlay? Because I think it's just in August. So that's where the main contention is, or the main debate, what we call it, is around the added numbers caused by fireworks and then moving on to the pavilion forecourt. So I'd certainly like us to be approving the other sites and perhaps not deferring the other sites. Bookings need to start taking place. And if we do follow up with some inquiry about an alternative site, particular application, then I think we should confine that to the 26th of July to Sunday, the 31st of August period. So that's a comment at the moment. It needs to be an amendment or proposal. Direction from the chair.
Thank you, Ed. Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to echo a sentence made by Councillor Dickinson. It just seems ridiculous we're trying to squeeze a fairground into a car park. It just seems strange, and I'd like to know, just for me as a new councillor, that what was the initial justification in putting it in these two particular locations?
So if I go back to this, part one, the appendix C, it gives you a timeline of how this is transpired over the last 2 years. It's historically always been a pavilion forecourt. Forever and a day, it's been in the pavilion forecourt. I couldn't put a date on it, Councillor Hope, like, they obviously got the top of my head on my own negative, unfortunately. So we've gone through different options. In January last year, we looked at different areas. We then had a working group which formed during the summer of 2023, which actually Councillor Bell chaired and it was chair of this meeting. And that working group consisted of both councillors, officers and our youth council. We explored every possible location we think of in the town centre that would be viable for us as a town council and also to be operated. And honestly, we couldn't find anywhere suitable. If you look back on committee papers to we took a report back to Environmental Services almost a year ago, and again, that in that report it would tell you why. We looked everywhere. There is nowhere else suitable that we could find. And I'm sure you agree with that.
Yeah, no, I'd echo that. There were numerous meetings took place, representation across political parties, youth council there, back and forth with Dorset Council at the time, structural elements discussed with places like the Swannery, legal issues with Logmore tenancies. All of these things have been gone over. And at the time, it was quite apparent that no one deemed this to be the perfect solution. But within the set parameters we were being set, sometimes by external agencies or legal paperwork on Logmore, this is where we got to. And it has come up repeatedly. I don't think anyone claims it's the perfect option, but it's the option we've got. And I agree with Councillor Hope. Quite likely we end up here in a year's time. And it's not a perfect situation. And that's why this comes up about this time of year every year. And then go to Councillor Hope. I think you're raising hand, please.
Yes, I've been waiting, so.
Oh, sorry, no, you have to.
Yeah.
Councillor Olivia.
Yeah, thank you. North Quay is not going to be developed anytime soon. So therefore, I do not see why we cannot go to the new administration that's open and all singing, all dancing, and they're perfect now. Why we can't go to them, have a discussion, see if they'll allow us, and then when that site is redeveloped, hopefully by then the pavilion, the airtime the pavilion will be free, because those works will be carried out, well, we could move it there. Councillor Hope, you said, I know you're very keen on the fund, and it's a big passion of yours. The reason Hotel Association show up here is not because they want to spend their Wednesday evening with us, because they say there's an issue. They don't show up here for a laugh. And the reason they don't, I guess, have that much faith is because the previous services committee voted against the fund there. You and others then ran through a motion to reinstate it. That's why they're annoyed. So they do have a reason to have the grievance. The Weymouth Pavilion is a Weymouth success story. It's a really, really good story about. The hotelier industry is part of the Weymouth Division Council Northern. So is the fund fair, a fund. But at the minute, I feel like we're prioritising businesses, a large part of which aren't even based in Weymouth. They're not Weymouth people running them, over Weymouth all year round businesses. And that's what concerns me. I cannot support the Pavilion forecourt and I cannot support the Jubilee Park.
At this point, I know Councillor Hope wants to come, just for anyone watching online, Councillor Hope was the chairman of this committee in the previous sitting, so he's quite well informed, so I know you'd like to come back.
Very tough on shoulders there. I just want to come back on your point, councillor, earlier, and you'll be aware, as also councillor, I was in the room, that plans are progressing, not keeping, if you believe it or not. I don't think that the administration will have a suggestion by officer that also council to allow the use with the progress and the vision that they have. I just want to come back on another thing, and members, you all know from your constituents and residents and following on media campaigns, social media, the real hunger to get our carnival back in Weymouth. And I can almost guarantee, and I'm sure that the chairman and the previous chairman of Carnival would tell you, without financial support from funfair in August, there's no way that Carnival would be ever financially viable to operate again. So if we do vote this evening to remove fairground operating on the seafront during any period in August, that would really put stumbling blocks in front of any organisation that's trying to rebuild.
At this point, and in the absence of any further hands, oh, sorry, Councillor Byrne.
Just a point of clarity, Chair. Councillor Norman, were you putting forward a proposal around those dates and conversations with Dorset Council?
I didn't put it in terms of a proposal.
No.
I'm curious there, and the reason for leaving it is know when you come out that is the peak period. It's a big contributor. And my memory, having lived down here for 48 years, is the pavilion having a fairground, whether it's been quite so many occasions, I can't remember. I can certainly remember lots of pavilions when they were, yeah.
Okay, at this juncture, and it was part of my role as chairman is to keep the debate moving. I feel we've talked around the main topic areas. So as chair, I feel at this point, the way to progress this is that I will propose the recommendation and seek a seconder, and we'll see how we move the discussion forward. Are there any councillors willing to second the proposal as currently written? Councillor Northern is seconding. Feel like we've had a pretty in-depth discussion and lots of councillors in the room are aware of previous discussions. So I think at this point we'll move to the vote. But just to clarify before we go into that, you can see it up on the board there. The officer recommendation has been put forward is that the committee approves the proposed dates detailed within the report, funfair booking, pavilion forecourt and Jubilee clock site for the 2025 season. So here we go. All those in favour, please raise your hand. All those against? And any abstentions? Are there any other proposals to move this item forward? Councillor O'Leary, thank you.
Chairman, I would like us to look at forming another working group with the new councillors here, looking at new other sites with the new administration. And the key words in that is new. Keep hearing about last year, but a lot's changed last year. If North Keys develop next year, then Councillor Hope, I'll take you out for a dinner on the fancy restaurants. Joe would take you instead.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what I would like to propose.
Councillor O'Leary, do you,
Form a new working group.
Form a new working group to look at alternative sites on which a fund there could be situated.
at that point, I'd just like to ask you a question of the Assistant Town Clerk, because I think it's important.
That's fine.
Obviously, we need to conduct these things at a pace that allows
Yeah.
contracts to be formed
Yeah.
and all that sort of thing. I'm keen, it's okay with you, to try and seek sort of a time frame for this, so it doesn't just rumble on.
Can we do questions?
I was going to say, we've got environment services in October. I think that's too quick, so could we do it till, I think it's just, I want to say December the 11th or I'm not 100% sure, but there's one in December, so is it worth leaving that?
The fourth. Councillor Fern.
Chair, I should have probably.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That we split the Jubilee clock and pavilion forecourt into two votes, but I don't, can I do that still or not?
Well, what's the guide on that one?
We haven't had a seconder to,
So,
How would you feel if I added that in as an amendment?
In regards to an amendment to my proposal.
To add, I mean, in again in a minute, you know, after an amendment to the amendment, but just split the Jubilee clock and the pavilion.
I will cede my amendment, my proposal to his for now.
So could we split those for the purpose of the vote, so we could get the deadline, so at least, as the hoteliers recommended, we could have their clock. Jubilee clocks, I wouldn't want to throw baby over the bar.
That's fine.
I think that's very wise. I'm
Quite you on that, Chair.
for that motion. Would you like to second that? or-
No, I won't second it. I'll cede it.
Well, I'll second it.
Thank you.
That's a good proposal.
Yeah.
So let's just give the assistant town clerk a chance to get that written up. So we're looking at splitting the voting between the two sides,
do
essentially.
you want to vote in Jubilee clock site next year?
Yeah,
As written in the report.
as written in the report.
So we can get the Jubilee clock site.
Yeah.
So officers can move forward with it.
And plus, it doesn't put too much onus on the working group to have to look at both sites, like it's double the work, or maybe we don't need to double that work.
Okay, so, we've got a proposal on the table, put forward by councillor Fern and seconded by myself. So this is purely a vote to agree or not the dates for the Jubilee clock site only, not the pavilion dates. Everyone, clear on the proposal that's been put forward. So, at this point, just for the Jubilee clock dates, so at this point, we'll look for a show of hands. So all those in favour of agreeing the Jubilee clock dates for 2025?
Seven.
All those against? Two. And abstentions? Yeah, so the dates for the Jubilee clock site are carried. They can now go forward to our officers who can start the process of arranging bookings for that particular site on those published dates. Thank you for that. Councillor Leary, at this point, I'm thinking we come back to you.
Yes.
Your previously mentioned working group.
Yes, I would like a working group to look at alternative sites to the pavilion forecourt with a deadline to come up with the goods, however you want to formally put that, by the December the 11th Environment and Services meeting. No,
The December.
the December.
Just wait for that to be
Thank
confirmed.
you for Johnny Andrews.
Is there anyone who is happy to second that as described by Councillor Toff is seconding? No? Would anyone like to speak to this proposal? Councillor Hope.
Thank you very much. I admire Councillor Leary's trying to do here. He's trying to point the finger on the new administration of Dorset Council. There's no mind about it. We have to accept facts that the responses given to the last working group were that of either contractual or physical ground conditions. That's not changed in 12 months. Swannery car park structure hasn't miraculously got better to allow it fairgrounds to operate in the Swannery car park, and neither is the Countryside Act that prevents it on Logmore. None of that has changed. So I feel that we're wasting officers' time and members' time revisiting this at the same responses given to us. So I cannot support this recommendation. Don't find it's a good use of our officers' time or members' time.
Councillor Toff.
We're here to carry out wishes of the residents, and we can't ignore their views, and I think they've been stated pretty strongly, repeatedly, and I think we have to do our best for them. I don't think we can shirk this because there's a chance but we won't see it through, we won't find it somewhere, but we might find somewhere and we should at least try.
You want to see it? I think councillor.
I think recognise that fact, councillor Toff, but I think the public spoke very, very vocally last time. So much so that certain councillors didn't stand because of the abuse they got on that decision. And I think members, I would just urge anyone now that as a result of any votes, big support of officers should such things happen.
It's sinister.
Okay, so we have a proposal, let's move this forward. So we've got the proposal, form a new work, in the middle section of the officer recommendation paragraph there. Form a new working group to look at alternative sites to the pavilion forecourt on which a fun fair could be situated. A report to be brought to the early December Environment and Services meeting. You happy with the wording?
I am.
But, yeah. Time to vote. So, all those in favour of the proposal as written in the middle section of the recommendation, then please show of hands. All those in favour? And all those against? So the motion as written and currently highlighted is passed. So that will prompt a working group to be formed.
What I would do is I will email our members and I will also email and contact other organisations and other partners, including I'll get some information from Wednesday and they will, because of timings, they can provide it for this meeting, but they can put a survey together to get.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you to members of the public that come to speak to the item, and also thank you to the members because that was a good discussion, especially compared to some previous meetings on the topic. So, all in all, right. At this point, we're going to move on to item 12, which is the fireworks display. Item 12 is the fireworks display 2025 to 2030 being introduced by Will Holmes.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of this report is to seek approval from the Environment and Services Committee to include firework displays on 5 Mondays during the school summer holidays and an additional display on November the 5th each year from 2025 to 2030. It also requests approval for officers to procure a 5-year contract with a firework company to provide these displays and for officers to secure a sponsorship agreement to cover 2 displays annually. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Are there any members of the public that would like to speak to this particular item, fireworks display 2025 to 2030? No? Ken Watley. Please address the audience.
My favourite course is not too pleasant. I wondered what's happened to the microphones. Tonight, I've not heard. But basically, the fireworks display to attract a lot of people into the town. We know we've tried to make sure they cover all the festival floor and stuff. But they don't, but that's people. They do attract a lot of people. There is an additional income for the Esplanade and then also other parts of the town. 15,000 plus coming down. I don't see any reason why we shouldn't carry on with the fireworks. We've tried the last council, went into very detail about having slow or silent fireworks, and we just don't like them. But please consider that we need. This is another part of famous fabric to go on for years. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Are there any other members of the public at this point who would like to speak to the item? Okay, yeah, good idea from the assistant town clerk there to sort out the ventilation a bit, on a warm September evening. Right, we'll go to the members' discussion at this point. So would anyone like to speak about item 12, fireworks? Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Chair. Just a quick question in terms of the survey results. What's the difference in sort of percentages from last year's survey to this year, particularly people coming from outside of Weymouth in terms of what revenue is being generated from local businesses in comparison to last year? And also previous year.
I don't have that information with me now, but I do know that the submissions from last year were roughly around 700 to 750.
Councillor Toft, you have hand up, so Councillor Toft was first.
Well, can I ask, is the 5-year term going to get a better price of these coming back every year?
Yes, that is the plan. It's either going to be a better price or more.
I can confirm the Chair of Finance and get Minister to look smiling back at me. We're happy with that response. Councillor O'Leary.
Yes, thank you very much. This is an event that's well supported. You can view it from my ward, you can view it from Councillor Dickinson's ward, you can view them all over Weymouth. So they are Dickinson's ward and Dickens, and they're, you know, it's truly a Weymouth-wide event. I will be supporting the recommendation. I think we need to do a bit more working with partners, the ASB and crime issue. I've had quite an increase in ASB in my ward, which thankfully is now going back down. And one of the quiet nights on the estate is Monday nights, because a number of the youngsters, I can name them, go off into town on a Monday night, and they're up to frankly no good. Speaking to officers, you know, I speak to a lot of police officers on a regular basis, not because I've done anything wrong. As a ward member, I speak to officers on a regular basis. And they're saying what they would like to be able, what they would, you know, they'd love to be able to do more patrols. What I would like us to do, and would like to add it in, is if we could write to the Policing Crime Commission and ask him to push for additional support on those evenings, including a stop and search operation, because I have had reports of residents, including my own, carrying knives on fireworks night, and I would like to see a stop and search operation in place via Dorset Police on those nights to help make people who enjoy them feel safe.
I'm just going to revert to Councillor Hope's question for a non-pecuniary interest.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I should declare a non-pecuniary interest on this, member of the Weymouth Lions Club. We did carry out fundraising activities during the 4 or 5 fireworks nights this year on our
Lights.
Thank you. That's up on the screen behind me. We've had an amendment proposed there.
That's just a recommendation, it can just be added to.
Thank you. So we can see that added up there. Councillor Atkinson.
Yeah, I'm afraid I don't want to be a killjoy, but I do have a concern. So I noticed that the minority of people in the survey might be impacted more. One of them who talked to me directly said about all of it. I think the Environment Committee does have a duty towards wildlife. And I wonder if there's been a study for the impact on wildlife in the area. 3 traveller side sites in the town. Issue. I'd like to point out it's actually illegal to create disturbance, noise, lighting, operating during the breeding season of birds. And in particular, the particular protection on Schedule 1 birds, which do breed in Weymouth, the 3 I know about, is the barn owl, Littleton, and marsh owl. And there are others not breeding like the barn owl. The advice in the RFPB and Government Office of Public Safety and Standards and Industrial Studies, the Timmy Johnson was, don't let fireworks off as refer wild habitat, bats and birds. So how do we work around this issue? We're silent, fireworks being the issue, but what are our responsibilities as far as the wildlife?
Well, can I just clarify, silent fireworks are not a thing. it's impossible to get a silent fireworks there, no noise fireworks. So instead of using the big bangs, they use lots of little. So that's just, there's no such thing as a, so.
Has the issue been addressed by this moving the white plans?
It hasn't been in the last 6 years.
How can I say this without, we're a tourist town. And I think a lot of people come down in that particular time, mainly because of the entertainment we have on the seafront. Fairground, albeit it's not in the place I wanted to be, and the fireworks. And with all due respect, I think animals, you know, anybody that's got an animal knows that you actually sort of put them in the house and you keep them away. You know, you don't, and you put them in the farthest part of the house so that they're not, they minimise that damage. I think to start going down that road, got to start remembering we're a tourist town, or are we going to be one of those ghost towns like all the rest of the town? Are just dying because they have people that were supposedly coming to this area are just bored senseless because there's nothing to do.
Councillor Turner.
Thank you, and thank you, Councillor Atkinson, on those points you brought up. So I served on ENS for, I think, pretty much 5 years in the last term, and this was a very interesting item that came up every year, and I would always talk about the benefits of low noise fireworks, and I appreciate what members are saying. To come back to Councillor Dickinson's to tourist town, it's not a tourist town, it's my town. This town, it's your town. It's not just for tourists, it's for everybody, and that includes autistic children that have a right to you know, to enjoy parts of our displays and things we do. Putting a dog in the back of your house isn't going to change anything. So just saying you can put it somewhere else, it's a member of your family that's in distress. And by far, we can see that 370 and 492 thoroughly enjoyed the fireworks last year. So I don't think it's a big stretch for us to look at least at some of our firework displays being low noise. If it was up to me, I'd do all of them. I'm a dog owner, I work in schools, I know the difficulties it is for children, animals, and, you know, in respect of that, members on wildlife as well. But I appreciate that we do need to give something on our seafront. So I really would encourage members to look at, I would say, 3 to be lower noise, but if, you know, I'm all about minds. If members feel that it needs to be less or more, I'm okay with that, but I would really love members to be able to look at those 5 days and pick out something that we could do low noise, so we could encourage those members of our community that can't enjoy fireworks. They absolutely cannot be there because of diagnosed, you know, their needs. And I think we should mitigate for those and be able to do that for our community, respecting tourists on themselves.
Just at this juncture, in response to what you said, and also for the benefit of the public at home, which I think we need to realise, they may not have read reports in quite so much detail. So at this point, I'm going to pass over to Will, that needs to come up in discussions quite a few times.
So with your point, Councillor Furman, I certainly agree, and something that should have been starting to work with Westfield, not to work closely with them to bring some of their students down, some of the teachers, to see how we can be more inclusive. One on the seafront, one of the ideas that we're thinking of at the moment is to have some sensory bags which would have ear defenders. So if somebody does come down and doesn't realise it's firework, and we would be able to have those on site for people to report. That's just something that we would also be pushing in the pilot plant as well, but that's available.
Yeah, wonderful, thank you.
Councillor Hope, I think, just. Councillor Hope.
I'm going to be pardon the pun, but best bang for your buck. I know, thanks.
It's probably the same script.
When we tried the low noise ones, and we did the resident survey after, satisfaction rates were low. Because the bangs aren't, you know, the bangs come with bigger fireworks, smaller. And again, you know, we didn't get the customer satisfaction, and that was including tell you that from our local residents until there's the tourists that come down. And they have a bigger carbon impact because you need more fireworks to go up. Then rates. more of a carbon impact. So I think, what we can do is do some awareness campaigns around It's Fire at Night. We publicise the schedule. Owners, I'm lucky my dog doesn't mind the fireworks, just sit on the seafront and watch them. Pet owners, it's, diffusion units, I'm sure help protect their pets. And obviously people are aware can be pet. So I think as long as we keep the comms going and the publicity going, which of course we want to do for people in town, I'm happy to go forward with the just 5 standard displays. The other element of this we need to consider, as Councillor O'Leary said, if we ask the police for additional resources, their response will be, you've got to pay for them. It is up to us as an event organiser to put in the infrastructure for our event. So if we need additional policing, we have to pay for it. If we need additional security, pay for it. Medical cover, we have to pay for it. We don't rely on the NHS. So we just need to be mindful of the fact that if we are going to put stipulations within the recommendations, this will come at a bigger cost within the event. That's all.
Thank you. Just at this point, Councillor, is yours on a finance based?
No.
Was that, so we've got Councillor Sybil at the back of the room, Chairman of F&G, Finance Governance. Were you going to respond to the money element of that? Or is it
No, it's a separate issue, but finance related.
okay, we'll come back to you in a short. Councillor Todd.
I would like to address the point raised by Councillor Atkinson. When I first became a town councillor and was concerned about the fund affairs on the billion, one of the issues that concerned me, which I didn't know how to take forward and was the impact of all that noise on the billion on the area on the side of the harbour, the gardens, which is the very point that I would actually be very interested to hear the views of an expert on what the impact is to our wildlife. Because if I'm thinking it, he's thinking it, then there'll be other people thinking it, and if it doesn't cost too much money to find out, it's quickly funded.
We had Councillor Leary and head of pursuit.
Yeah, my now, you say you can't please all the people all of the time, and this is one of those cases. I'm probably going to get a whack from my right, but I agree entirely with what Councillor Hope said about the publicity aspect. We all have wards and, spread out. Quite often I get, what's that noise on a Monday night, because people don't realise it's fireworks. In regards to those with disabilities, I've got a lady in my ward, I was speaking to a couple of weeks ago, she's blind, so she cannot see them. She does enjoy the sound of fireworks. She only enjoy what she can get. So there are two sides to that story. I understand, autistic children or others that suffer from that. But if you lived in Wool or you lived in, sometimes you can hear in Preston, the rest of England, the Lulworth Rangers. When they're testing, you can regularly hear louder thuds on a more regular basis than you would from the fireworks. I'm afraid some things, you should say as well, you should put up, shut up sometimes and get on with it, boy. So I think I would agree with Councillor. I thought he was doing a test. Yeah, I would agree with the council. I hope we maintain it. Sorry, in regards to PCC, I still think it's worth writing to him, see what he says, and I'll be writing to him separately.
Councillor.
It was a resident not well involved with Councillor Thompson about the disturbance. What I'm this queue is side by some responses. I'm not actually very interested in what it's not pets we're bringing up, but I think they're an indicator of mobility that barking is important, but it's indicating noise. I was more concerned about whether or not absolutely breaking the law. Under the schedule of birds and not just only birds brings. That's not
Thank you. Will, did you have a response in terms of legalities around noise level or?
I just come in there to say that we, the fireworks provider can go to tender. The questions related to noise, related to regulations, and they comply with the necessary regulations. And, they wouldn't be firing, they wouldn't be, doing anything, they're going against the law, so I'm convinced they are, under the law, so, the reputable company that we go out.
Are there any other members? Oh, Councillor Northern.
Councillor actually raised that concern and Google tells me reading season's March 5. I think our fireworks is scheduled in August. So I don't think that's directly another bit of technical. I think it would be worthwhile looking into and bringing the report back. With respect to what evidence there is. Stream. Well, I don't think at the moment there is that. At the moment, be voting in favour of this because I wait to see that.
I was doing some Googling last night as well. There are some government reports on it referencing decibel levels. One that I just removed from the screen actually, but referenced evidence of harm to pets being inconclusive, but also acknowledging that increase around November 5th.
But I think PEC's very good at picking up. PEC's, I think there is some evidence around. The wildlife is different. Proximity to wildlife, the main proximity is the forest out to the triple SR. So I think it's worth getting some detail.
Thank you. I'm aware obviously wildlife may well respond differently, but that's the best I could find online. So at this point, Councillor Sybil, Chair of F&G, has been waiting very patiently. If you'd like to contribute.
Thank you very much. I don't think there's any doubt. The vast majority of people, when they go to enjoy the fireworks, are looking for a big bang, some spectacular, etc. That's part of our town's offering to tourists when they come here. It's part of our offering to the residents as well. That said, it's not 25 years ago. There are or longer after school when we all snuggled on and as so earlier referred to the advice from our grandparents' generation, which is to get on with it. Life is a little more nuanced now, and there are a lot more people. Mental health issues, PTSD issues, animal, wildlife is not considered before like this. So, my point being that you could actually make something of 1 week or something. Second Monday of August each year being the one where we have quite a moment. That could be a big reason for people to come to them. They'll be able to bring their children to some condition. They'll be able to bring their relatives to some condition and enjoy the fireworks that week. If it's the same week each year, and we're talking about, you are talking about 5-year period, then perhaps that's worth looking at. If you could combine it with the fun fair again, but if you could, that's a week that there is not a fun fair on the seafront. Okay, it's not your traditional British seaside holiday that people in relation to our town, but it is another one. I don't know for a fact that it's unique. It's certainly not something I've heard of before. It would be, I would imagine, permanently not. Thank you.
Get various things around the room there.
May I just clarify something, Chairman?
Yeah.
When I say get on with it, I just want to clarify, I wasn't referring to people with mental health issues, I was referring to us. I was referring to us to get on with it. May I just clarify? No, that's fine. May I just clarify that point in case there's any confusion?
Can I say something?
Councillor Hope, just want to come in and then I'll come in straight to you.
If you want to ask me to pick some best, because I was going to make a point.
Councillor Joanna.
It's only a quick one. I thought Will, had said that there are no such thing as a non-noise firework.
Yeah, so,
No noise,
yeah,
no.
quiet or, silent, it's more silent fireworks. Silent fireworks isn't a thing of just how silence works with fireworks. They have to make a noise. The lower noise would be lots more little fireworks, none of the really big booms where everyone goes, ah. So they blows up.
Were you standing next to me?
Get that minute in.
Yeah.
You should do impressions.
You're standing and I'm standing on the seat.
We move to the vote, please.
Recommendation.
Yeah, the recommendation as is on the board, can we move to the vote?
What's the recommendation to the board? I'm going to make a slightly different recommendation.
Yeah, but can we?
Get on with it.
Councillor, you want to promise?
Right.
The only slight, I'd like to make the recommendation nearly as written on the board. The only addition is that we leave a bit of flexibility on the 5 Mondays, that should a carnival return on the traditional third Wednesday of August in the next 5 years, that week's display may be able to move to the Wednesday. And that's the only addition I want to make. If a group comes forward and does reform it, then the fireworks could be on carnival days tradition.
That was a surprising simple amendment.
What that?
More complicated.
For 5, displays. Throughout the summer.
5 Monday displays.
Yeah. So it's adjustments
Adjustment
possible.
adjustment possible. Should the return be never so. That's right.
Yeah, all that page. Councillor O'Leary has seconded that. He's going to indicate to me. So we can take those 5 votes again. So, right, yeah,
I'd
Councillor.
like to add an amendment to that. Yeah. I'd like to add in that, 2 of the displays should be loadings.
Is that 2 displays throughout the summer?
Perhaps someone checks on the bulk, number 1. But 2 of those be low noise.
I'm prepared to say.
Then I made a proposal, so it's a process that amendment can be made.
Vote on the amendment?
Yeah. Okay, so we've got amendment to put forward by Councillor Vernon, seconded by Councillor Northern. The amendment is 6.1, 2 of the 5 displays during the summer to be low noise. Comments, so all those in favour? And all those against? And any abstentions? So the amendment is carried. Now what? On board, related to our fireworks plans here for 2025 to 2030. I'll just then happy to carry on with the proposal.
No, because it's not my proposal.
Fair enough. So we've got 6 points up on the board at the moment. I'll just give members a chance just to peruse those. Yeah. Councillor Peter Dickinson, you indicated.
It says officers will seek commercial sponsorship for a minimum of 2 of the displays. You know, but officers seek sponsorship for as many as they can possibly get.
Try and cover at least 2.
Two,
We
yeah.
have done last
3.
3 seasons.
Yeah.
But these 2 are fantastic.
Yes.
That's who
I'm happy to propose a substantive. If councillor Hope has indicated not. I don't
And
know,
on use of standard, yeah, then.
well, I'm very happy.
you're proposing as written with the 6 points currently seen on board.
Amen.
I think at this juncture I have to ask if there's a second.
Yeah.
Is anyone that would like to comment any further on this? Councillor Sutton.
My only concern would be, we tie ourselves into 5 years according to the recommendations up there. Should we not revisit? 5 years is a long time. To make sure we're still happy with how it all stands, even if it's just a constant thingy. And I don't want to say we want to wriggle out of the contract. I just, you know, I don't want it to disappear and never appear on the agenda again, and everybody thinks it's wonderful, and there might be issues that, because it's not the thing now.
So and the rule is any decision can be within after 6 months, so anyone can ask them to come back after 6 months in the future if you decide that you weren't happy to go with trampling that back. And also, I know that Will's very good with those all updates, so we could add those, add updates to the agenda.
Will, you wanted to come in?
Yeah, on that, even though we are looking for the 5 years, I'd still like to do the fireworks survey every year. So I didn't add the fireworks survey into an update. And then if you want to bring it from the standard.
Thank you. So we've got a proposer, Councillor Leary, seconded by Councillor Northern. 6 recommendations as written up on the board, doing them on block. Hopefully members have had a chance to look around those. So all those in favour? All those against? And any abstentions?
You did.
Yeah, we happy? Yeah. Fantastic. Right. Those are finally, we've reached the end of the one we've jumped forward.
So which, like, real now, Jack?
We are going to item
Apologies.
Item 7. It's written on the agenda. So, this, let's scan the page. So, item 7, where are we? This is going to be, this is where Charlotte Lidgley Ryan speaks to many items in a row here. So, item 7 is going to be introduced by Charlotte Lidgley Ryan, and this is about the addition of an annual Weymouth Town Council carol service. Over to you, Charlotte.
Chair. This report presents options for the Environment and Services Committee to determine whether Weymouth Town Council should organise carols by the coast annually, allow the mayor to choose between this event and a traditional church service, or hold both.
Very much. We have had I'm sure members are aware, a statement was sent through from Councillor Kate Weller. The Assistant Town Clerk is going to read that to us now.
Dear colleagues, my apologies for not attending in person for our engagement in the evening of the 18th of September. I'd like to please make a comment on that item 7. As I believe you're all aware, I'm very keen to maintain a high civic element in the town council. That policy, both generally and during my mayoral year, indicates that it is welcomed both by residents and visitors. I was well attended civic service in my own parish church in a civic day. I'm aware that people enjoy celebrating Christmas and singing carols. Those of faith and those of no particular faith. These days, many people feel uncomfortable in church. It was for this reason that I held carols on the post last year. Located centrally and prominently on the prom, it was very well attended by locals, visitors, and visiting mayors and chairmen. Many of those who attended would never attend a civic carol service in a church. The Salvation Army Band provided music in their own way. Start the Christmas season for many people. I chose the first Saturday in December as an easy to remember date, one that was early enough to crash for events, but not too early to be seen as too soon. In discussion with town clerk and other officers, it was hoped that this would become an annual winter event within the town council calendar. Always some mayors would wish to also host a more conventional service. I'm pleased that Councillor Owl has already reserved a date in the civic calendar for his carol service. Assuming the town carol service could continue, the Salvation Army Band have already got their event in the diary. I'm saddened to see the recommendation from officers. Carols on the coast is not an expensive event. The council proposed, but it's very popular. It's inclusive and it draws from a wide area. Mince pies and mulled wine can be sold from Tom Cafe together with the usual offer, adding to revenue. Children's ride can be provided, offering a free pitch to your drink that adds to the event with no cost to the council. Donkeys attended as well, and this was the same, they can pay either. As you can see from the report, very little officer time is required, and that will be less in future as the event becomes more established. I'd like to suggest that members of ENS reject option 2 and confirm option 3. The reason for my suggestion, the annual event only occurs sometimes, it's not become an annual event. Members feel this event should not be added to our event calendar, but after listen.
Thank you, and thank you to Councillor Kate Weller if she's watching or catching up with us in the minutes later on. So there are 3 options within the report. The officers have recommended the second option, which reads allow the mayor to decide each year whether to hold a traditional church service for carols by the coast. At this point, it's over to the members to repeat the difference.
I would like to recommend option 2. So I think the mayor's going through all the trouble all year round. This is something he should have the choice on. So I'll go option 2.
Councillor O'Leary.
I'm happy to support option 2 or option 3. I attended the Carol by the Coast last year. You know, it was pleasant enough. But I believe, like Councillor Dickinson does, you know, this we should be allowed that we shouldn't bind the mayor's hand how he wants to do it. Every mayor is going to be different. Every deputy mayor will be different, as Councillor Furman, and people have different styles. If I was mayor, you know, obviously I'd want a church service in Little. Surprise you. Really? Because I think if we have carols by the coast, once again centres something on the town centre, while I feel that sometimes our out there is getting a little bit forgotten. So I think if you had a mayor's civic service, Councillor Weaven had hers in Preston, for instance. Councillor Weller had hers in Wyke. One of us services in Wyke. I think we should try and spread these events around the town. I think Carols by the Coast, once again, in the town centre, on the seafront, that same old spot that was very, very nice, but we do have an awful lot going on there. We need to try and spread things about, spread the mayor about a bit, and I think that's a good reason. I am a traditionalist, and I am a person of faith. I believe Christmas is fundamentally about the birth of Jesus Christ, and I believe in celebrating that via a traditional way, which is in a church. That is, we are still in a country that has an established church and official Christian religion. The mayor is the king's representative in the borough. The king is the supreme governor of the Church of England, to make it technical. So I believe therefore there is that link, and I believe in the preservation of these certain things. But it also does allow for, we could have a mayor that's a Methodist, a Baptist, a Catholic, any number of denomination. It would allow those of us from different denominations and promote ecumenism, and I think that can only be a good thing. We may have mayors of no faith, I know we have done. We may want to do things differently, and that's okay too, but we shouldn't bind the mayor's hand.
Thank you very much. I went to the Carols by the Coast last year, and I thought it was a great event for a first time event. It was people there from all over the community and all around the area. Obviously, the mayor invited dignitaries from across Dorset, as this was their replacement to the traditional carol service. I have to say, in the 13 years now of being a councillor, I've never gone to the mayor's carol service in the church. I don't do churches. I enjoy that element of things. But we went down as a family to Carols by the Coast. It was really, really nice. And I reflect back on our seafront master plan that's now in place. It's all around using the seafront in the shoulder months, extending the season, supporting businesses, and obviously those that have gone to Carols by the Coast, many of them may have gone to the pub over the road after or out for a meal. And I think minimal effort that it takes to hold an hour carol service outside the beach office, I think it should continue. And option 3 would allow the mayor still to hold a traditional church service should they wish.
Councillor Furman.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I think councillor O'Leary has convinced me of option 3. In fact, not so much because, you know, what he would do a little more, but I think it's really important as somebody who's, I don't practice faith myself, but I think it's really important that we are able to have representation for those members of our community. So, and I'm mindful as well that our winter months are quite bare in terms of our events. And I wouldn't like us to, I'd like us to do more things for the non-tourists, you know, for residents that we can do in the winter, particularly when we're not on that tourist train. But really important that the mayor and that offering is available to residents. So I think option 3 as well, I believe, as a tool.
Yeah, councillor Atkinson and Tofton.
I thought option 3 and I support what was said. And I also see something in what Councillor Leary said, that is that I think the mayor should be able to have a service and when he wants it to, or she wants it to be. So I don't see option 3 as preventing the mayor from doing that anyway, but I do think that option 3 does have the opportunity of a wider involvement of people who are not so committed Christians as some people are. I think that's a good thing that we're trying to be inclusive. So I support option 3.
Thank you, councillor Todd.
I'd just like to say that I support 3 because any outside event in December, there's a risk it's not going to take place. And at least then we are having a carol service somewhere else. And if you, I myself went to the carol by the coast last year and I did enjoy it and I would go again. And like Councillor Hope, I have never been to any of them at the church, I don't think, ever. So I think option 3. Because if we get rained off, we've still got somewhere else to do.
Councillor Morgan.
Could we,
You proposing?
I propose that we vote on option 3.
May I just look at before we go to proposal?
Yeah, I have to read the clause which does say, and allow the mayor to.
Yeah, could I? Would you mind if I
If
just?
councillor Morgan's happy.
Go ahead.
Yeah, is that all right? We might, just in the vein of what councillor Lou was saying about different denominations of mayors, etc. It probably shouldn't be church, it should be place of worship, because it could be synagogue, it could
Or
be.
even just alternative.
Yeah, just let's be a little bit more encompassing of more religions that just use churches.
I think you forget that Roman Catholic.
Place of worship.
Yeah, we won't forget.
I'm happy with that.
Sorry, thank you. If I'm saying.
Well, my thought was, you've already proposed. You have to propose that. with
Yes.
a Suggestion.
That's what I was saying.
Whichever way,
So,
whichever way it comes through.
that next.
I know I have tonight. Good luck.
well played, gentlemen. So, proposed by councillor Morgan, seconded by councillor Atkinson. Well put by councillor Furman.
That's all I.
So, it seems to be read the room. So we are putting option 3 as now written.
Yeah.
That is establish carol by the coast as an annual event organised by Weymouth Town Council and allow the mayor to hold a traditional service within a place of worship. So that's what we're voting. Yeah. Okay, all those in favour? That's good. Well done. Right. Okay. Thank you, Charlotte. I believe I'm coming back to you in just a second. So, on to item 8 from the original agenda order. So that was Weymouth Town Council flag raising events to be introduced by Charlotte Lynch-Ryan.
So this report evaluates the current practice of conducting flag raising ceremonies at the new town hall, presents options to either continue with ceremonial elements or simplify the process by raising flags without speeches and refreshments.
Thank you. Hopefully members have read the report as detail around reasoning and everything. Now, just everyone's read those. Councillor Hope.
Probably I need to declare an interest again this evening. United Nations Day is, Wellington Town Council.
The UN.
The Lions play a heavy part in the United Nations flag waving day, so I will declare non-pecuniary interest.
Right, so we've got the recommendations. Yes, they are. Give the members a moment to glance over those and then we'll come to a discussion. Okay.
Yes, I'm fully in, sorry. I'll see the councillor Northern.
Yeah.
I find this a little over constraining, and given the course of the previous item debate, I think it's quite important that the mayor or the council as a whole has an opportunity to discuss which are events that require a speech and which are events that are just a flag being raised. Because I could list a whole bunch of other things that I think would be worthy of raising flags. And I think we could make that a standard activity that's agreed at a certain point in our calendar time, so that it's set ahead. And I'd like to leave it to a simple survey, not a vote in full council, a simple survey of councillors. First off, what would you recommend? And then get councillors to vote which ones they recommend a flag raise, which ones they recommend a speech as well. Because I think it's important sometimes to have these speeches, but that will shift as the council shifts.
So there is
I fully agree with councillor Northern. I think that's a fantastic idea. Just don't let the neighbourhood plan people run the survey. We'll be waiting a year. I couldn't resist. I think the council Northern makes a very good point. We all have different opinions. I'm afraid I don't tend it so much because I find the Times is a working councillor. And I think others will here. Quite difficult to attend at 11 o'clock on a Monday. That is a real difficult time to attend. I mean, I'd love to attend Commonwealth Games. I think that's a very important day. They, celebrate the people that come over here and settle here from the Commonwealth through my ancestors, and also others from, and others make all the United Nations. I feel that less so, not for any particular reason, just what people's feelings are. So I think that we should put out to members and let them see what they feel. But I would recommend we put all flag raising events now, not just the one mentioned on here in terms of Commonwealth.
Is there anyone else who'd like to? Right?
Thank you very much. After indicating about my involvement in the United Nations Day flag waving, I recall the last time we did this, 3 members of the Lions Club stood there. I think maybe 2 flag bearers, the mayor. That was it. Yeah. We had to go and get, the council had to go and get staff from the offices, pose for the photo to make it look like something. Now it could be, as Councillor O'Leary said, the times of this, but reality is, I don't think people want to gather to see a flag raise. The flag flies symbolises the symbol of what's being flown for. People want to stand there for 2 minutes to watch the mayor, the Lions, or whoever it be, pull the rope to see it go on. And I actually support the recommendation to completely remove this, because I think time of minimal time, still time of then the hosting of the people that turn up, I think remove it. And I think if these certain events want something special, then that organisations linked to those events organise it.
Councillor, I thought we had a proposal on the second. What I proposed.
I will second, but
Just in the other council, Joanne.
I mean, I'm happy with what Councillor Ryan said.
You're right, Jeff.
It sticks in my throat still, never mind. What I don't want to see happen is anything to do with the armed forces or anything like that. I do not want discontinued.
Yeah. Thank you. Something happening.
Sorry, no.
Are you happy for us to go to councillor
No, wait,
Todd?
yeah.
Yeah, councillor Todd.
Thank you. I think due to the time most of these things happen, and that's what we're going for, I think I agree with raising flags to commemorate things. I don't necessarily think we need a gathering and everything else. You can still put a photo on social media to say you've raised the flag on this day because of whatever. What does occur to me is because of the location of our council offices, we are so far away from any passing anybody, but nobody knows the flag's up anywhere. So, and if we had a flagpole that was more central by the King's statue and we raised it there, you'd get better views and it would be seen by more people. I know it's traditional to have it outside the town hall. Back in the days when the town hall was a big building in the middle of the city and everybody knew where the town hall was and they looked at the flagpole, nobody knows where we are. And I think it's a bit of a waste of a ceremony of raising the flag. If you put it somewhere prominent, it would have a bit more significance.
Right.
Only a suggestion.
No.
Thank you.
Makes perfect sense. Councillor Northam's been very patient. I'm hoping we're going to sort of progress this forward and touch it. Councillor Northam.
So I would, rather than I'd like to propose that surveys held of councillors on an annual basis to determine which flags might be raised and also to indicate that they are willing to support, they wish there to be a ceremony and they would support that. So I think it comes with a commitment. Right. It's not, I
take your point.
Yeah. Is that okay?
So you want to, the survey is held on an annual basis to understand what flags
Should be raised.
members.
And where members would wish there to be a speech or
ceremony element.
Ceremony.
Are you proposing that with 1 and 2?
Yeah.
So that's been proposed. Is anyone happy to second?
Yeah. May I just,
say
yes, I will second. I'm a bit of a flag fanatic. I don't know everything. On top of this, could we also look perhaps at what I think Councillor Todd raised a really excellent point, which is about the location of the flag. Could we actually, I mean, having one by the town clock, opposite perhaps on the Esplanade, or one in Millennium Square, somewhere a bit more central as opposed to on the side of Commercial Road, just down the road from the bus depot, would be a very good idea. Is that something we could look into?
We can't do it.
Flag working.
Unfortunately, Millennium Square isn't our main town council land, we have to consult with Dorset Council. But potentially we could have one, and we've got existing flagpoles on the beach balcony, which we could use if you wish a central location. And they're easier to start to change and raise as needed.
So, Councillor Northam has proposed, we've got a second there. Anyone wishing to comment? Councillor Dickinson has been waiting a little while.
I'd just like to agree with Councillor Todd very much. Location, I never thought about location. But what you said about in front of the King's statue, where people could gather safely, or as you say, is that in the proposal?
Have it.
Councillor Hope, you
A general flag ceremony.
Just pick up point of under reference in this group, and we're here to make decisions. We've been appointed by our political groups. And it's now, if any members of my political group wanted to make a recommendation with a flag group for me to move forward tonight, they would have contacted me. We're here to make a decision tonight. Survey will only delay things. Let's make a decision. Let's do. The amount of time taken on debating a flag being raised. There's so many pressing issues in our town. Concerns me a little bit. The other thing you need to consider is the budget implication in flag raising. They do come at cost. But to influence the budget, the budget's in place to do 2 of these at the moment. as it detailed in this report. You want to go and do 5 or 6 more, it's going to be a bigger budget request that needs to go to the budget setting process. Officer time. Look, let's think, we raise the flag, we show it. Yes, we can still explore an additional flag location in a more prominent position. But support that, but let's just move to the vote, and I think, most of us here are saying we don't agree that these ceremonies should still take place. The ones for the military, as Councillor Dickinson said, most of them are organised by the British Legion and supported by the staff or whichever military division anyway, so there's no risk for them. Slowly does too. Let's just move on.
Go to Councillor Furman and then we'll talk about the proposal as currently.
Thank you, Chair. Take the points of all members, particularly those of Councillor Tofton and on to Councillor Dickinson as well, around, for me, and I don't sit on this committee full time, but just from outside looking in, it does seem that, if we're going to invest in flag raising, we should do it properly and therefore follow up with that. I take your point, Councillor, about the waste of time. So I would perhaps maybe go with, let's just do away with number 1, keep number 2 as Councillor Joanna Dickinson has mentioned about armed forces. We keep the survey. The survey doesn't take very long. It's just survey the job done. And then as well, I know it sounds like creating, but we want to do it right. Being part of the town and if we are going to commit to flag bearing, then let's just do it properly. And then something needs to be in there about scoping out where we can put a flagpole. I don't think the beach office particularly. I do like the idea of that space around King statue. There is something there kind of that nicely ties in culturally, as well as a nice green space that people can sit. And if you did want to do a speech or so, but I know it's not our land. But I'm not on, the new administration.
As the new administration.
As part of the new administration. No, but and I will, being a real optimist, I do think that, we should look at that potential. I'm not saying that is the space, but definitely we should just put something in there that we explore. We put something that officers can explore the potential of just putting a flagpole or something. I know it's quite low level. It might not mean something to somebody, but again, on the same as I've been talking about earlier, it does mean something to parts of our community. I think it's important, around that.
So at this point, we need to move to some sort of vote. So we've had Councillor Northern. And you were saying the new section excluding the
1 and
previously
2.
written 1 and 2 as a
That's
replacement.
what I would be saying.
That the survey is held on an annual basis. Survey of members, is that?
Yeah.
Survey of members is held on an annual basis to understand what flags, what flag members wish to be raised, where members would wish there to be a ceremonial element.
There, spell.
Yes, very good.
Yep.
I'm actually restraining myself.
Yeah, the old
Teacher, the teacher.
The old teacher. Sorry.
Right, so Councillor Northern, were you still happy with what you proposed and have been seconded? But then we've had quite.
I think it leaves the options open, and I trust that the spirit of what investigating other sites will be carried forward by officers.
Councillor Tofton made a very valid contribution.
I don't know why we need an annual survey. If you ask all council members what they think, surely from year to year, it's going to be pretty much the same. And if somebody has to go to the effort of doing the survey and sending it out, and just get the answer and stick with it.
Right, get something a bit.
Sorry, I'm all for lightening the workload of the officers. We're doing something that is.
Okay, yeah, no,
Part of the administration.
everyone's making great points. I'm just trying to think of how we move this into a vote.
Yeah.
So.
Change it to 5. Again, on annual basis.
Yeah, are you happy to do that?
On a 5-year basis. Or a term.
A term, council term basis.
I think when we get a new member.
that right,
Not leaving point 1 and 2 because this should change anyway, so we leave them in.
think this gives it members vote rather than this committee saying.
I haven't commented yet, but my thought on it is that I would like 1 and 2 kept in, because I think it's fairer on officers. When they bring recommendations like this, they've written really clear
For
report.
the sake of 9 o'clock.
I'll second that.
Oh, sorry.
So,
Yeah.
David, as regards to your, with your approval, how would you feel about keeping 1 and 2 in with the addition of 3?
Yeah.
Are you happy to second that?
For the sake of 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Not just
1 through that.
they contribute to the-
Contradict, you know, you can't just continue it.
Yeah, you could take out.
May you allow me to amend up the,
No, you won't.
well, yeah, we've got to get it through. Maybe we take out, the services committee to agree to, and take out permanently.
Survey. Right.
Right.
Yeah, lovely.
So there's a stability of moving forward. And imply decision. So are we sticking with Councillor Northern was proposing?
Yep.
Councillor Louis O'Leary?
Doing that officers are. Yeah,
It's the report. So the report is based on the ceremonial formats, and we are bound by certain flags that we need to reference at Newtown. Isn't that separate thing?
You have to monitor the facts of this.
It is like the King's Birthday.
there are some, but yeah.
I do.
So. Yeah. Yeah. It's about ceremonial.
The survey.
Now the recommendation is clear, and I understand the recommendation, can I point out that members have a process for putting forward suggestions for additional services, it's called in. So we don't need to do a survey. If a new flag raising event comes up, or one that you want to support, put a bid in, committee will vote on it. We don't need a survey. Officers have made a recommendation from someone that's witnessed these events. I support your officer's recommendation. Don't need to delay it. Let's move to the vote.
So the proposal on the table is 1, 2 and 3, and I'm happy to move that.
So, sorry, can I ask the town clerk point technicality, please? If we remove 1 and 2,
We're not.
no, sorry, no, if 1 and 2 is voted tonight, so to remove flag raising for the United Nations and Commonwealth, if that is reinstated as part of the survey, can that happen as committee have voted?
Necessarily, we wouldn't necessarily include that, then we'd only.
That members can put forward any suggestions they want?
Yeah, I suggest that every option.
Yeah.
rather than-
Yeah. 6 months before we couldn't do it.
I suggest we include options necessarily. not-
Surely the survey results will then come back.
But it's not doing what council doesn't want. So
We need to reduce the number of voices. I'm keen to hear from the assistant town clerk, 'cause I feel like we're dragging out this quite substantially here.
I totally understand where you're coming from and feel that we have to include options, not open book. If you had open book, somebody could suggest an absolutely.
My turn. Who's making the option?
Just a little as well.
Liverpool days. Mighty West.
Liverpool was not flag.
East London.
Right. I'm going to suggest that we have a proposer. We have a seconder. I think people are aware of what situation is up there. People can vote if they feel fit. That's the situation. Up to, we've got 3 on board, listed them in vote. So, all those in favour of 1, 2 and 3 on block as written on the screen, raise your hands. All those in favour. All those against? Any abstentions? Okay. Well, there we go. Right. I look forward to Louis' flag-based meetings in the future. Right.
In seven.
Right.
Semaphore.
Really? Right, anyway, moving forward, item 9, VE Day, 8th May 2025. Be introduced by Charlotte Litchfield.
Thank you. This report presents various options for commemorating the 80th anniversary of VE Day on the 8th of May 2025. Proposals are based on national guidance provided by Bruno P. Adjumas. The Environment and Services Committee is requested to review and approve one or more of these options. The event will be funded from the Events Reserve, which is a total of 25,000 currently.
Thank you. So, well introduced and just trying to find it. We've got a very thorough for outlining options. Obviously, had some media coverage today. So, members of the public are aware this is something we're looking at this evening. Any questions from members? Councillor Armed Forces Champion, do you want to come in with anything?
Slightly, yeah. I mean, I don't think option 2, after all the debate we've had about the fireworks this evening, but option 1 and option 3, I tend to like the idea of a promenade street party. Admit that, but logistically, is that possible? Would it be better perhaps having it on the beach or at Lodmore? You know, I don't know. That's the question I'd like to ask.
I think we've got to vote on the option that's written in the interest of getting a decision for our officers tonight. I've done a lot of work in background on this pricing things, final allocation. So I'm quite keen that we sort of move things forward to decisions. The officers are asking us for a
I
stick.
haven't really got anything else to say. Option 1 and option 3 are really nice ideas.
I think this is largely down to personal taste and choice, effectively. We all like different things. Some people like fireworks. My personal view is World War II is, is a historic moment. I think on the home front side, I think there's a lot of things we think of is the music side of it, Vera Lynn, Glenn Miller, etc. That's why I favour option 1, which is the music side of it. I think that would really, I'm not saying. I think that's been suggested, isn't it, Councillor? I do free to save the taxpayer money. But no, I think option 1 would be the one I'd like to propose, please.
Sorry, someone else had the hand. Councillor Northern.
I thought one way around the long debate might be we just vote on each item in turn, rather than say that one. Personally, I do favour option 1 above all else, possibly to the exclusion of all that.
Okay, thank you. Just had clarification from the assistant town clerk. We can vote for more than one. On the agenda item, you can see costings.
Yeah.
Some are approximate, but our officers have done brilliant work putting those prices together for us. It does also talk about where the funding is coming from. So that is there for members to view. It's coming from the Events Reserve, as that is in the report, which hopefully I assume all members are read. So if I just quickly, sorry, 1 second, and I will come to you. We have got, just for particularly members of the public looking online, read the report, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 options for officers to consider here. Councillor Peter Dickinson.
Thank you very much, Chair. I support option 1 and also option 4, which is up to, like we did at the last, when we asked people to write into the council and they held their own small parties in various villages. So that's why I would like to agree with Councillor Northern in option 1, but also add in option 4.
Can I just show the little nod? Are people happy to proceed on sort of voting by?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
I
Seems
think
like
it's rather confused to say yes or no, so really bring down a little bit. Informally, so then we get.
Yeah. So before we're voting for initial steer, I think the comments we got quite clear for steer, but we'll proceed with this. So on an informal basis, perhaps Lord, me looking at me like a.
I thought we could just step through each one, voting for each one individually. We often decide whether to vote for things on block or individually.
Chairman of Finance.
Might then go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay. The reason behind this, I can see F&G waving at me at the back.
Monday.
Exactly. So, the reason the assistant town clerk has sort of propose we go with a more informal basis to start with is because of exactly what the chair of F&G is stating it back there.
So,
The limit is,
There's currently £25,000 allocated in the event reserve, however, once that's gone, it's gone. So you may want to spend all of it, or you may just want to spend £25, but the choice is
It
yours.
doesn't mean you couldn't then look at increasing it, but we have to be justifying why we want to spend more than this currently in reserve.
councillor Hope?
can I ask the assistant town clerk, because the town clerk, the jet finance, town clerk, the technicality on voting on fireworks, bear in mind this committee's just taking a decision on fireworks.
Yeah.
And we are bound to review that decision for 6 months.
We can take them.
If I ask that, if we're allowed technically to vote on that option.
Are members happy to remove option 2 given?
I don't want to remove it, that's why I'm asking.
Shouldn't have said anything.
Keep it real.
I would want the cloud.
We agreed for one. You can't. There's no, yeah, I feel like- I don't know.
Think of it, well, right.
So, just. Well, I said,
Vote to the town clerk.
this committee has voted for 5 Mondays during the summer, school summer holidays, and a firework display on November the 5th. And for the associated actions that fall out of that, what you haven't said is that they will be your only firework display. So if you want more, I would.
Same as we had, for example, previously, we have had them for last year, remember last year? No. Yeah, Kingston Agents, but we already superseded, we did firework days, and we allowed it that one.
I just want to make sure that I'm going to.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, Chairman,
Can I make my suggestion?
I've been more patient, Chairman.
Councillor Hope?
Mine was a question, so I knew what I was going to ask for legal. My suggestion would be option 1, live music ceremony, followed by a seafront fireworks display. And then give communities the option, under option 4, for community celebrations, which allow things to take a lot more locally. I think that would cater for all of our residents in different ways. Because those that wouldn't want to go to a music display can hold a tea party in the local church or a festival on their local playing field. That would be my suggestion. Very much.
So 1, 2, and
And in relation to funding, just.
It's gone under the law.
1, 2, 4, what suggestion for funding? This is the 25,000 that's left in this year's budget. We're coming now over halfway of this year. The likelihood of us spending £25,000 this close to an event is very, very unlikely. So I've got no fear of funding that much from that budget reserve.
This is the next one, you know. We don't have to do anything.
Under this.
okay. Councillor Leary, then we're going to try and look to.
I'm happy to second that, and if it fails, I haven't.
We are not going to Littlemore.
You proposing 1, 2,
1, 2, and 4.
seconded by
Yep.
Louis?
Yep.
Could I speak?
You may speak to it, yeah.
Thank you. By lumping it together, it makes it much more complicated. I now understand why the deputy clerk suggested we show an indicative support for each item in turn. And then I think we should try and lump things together. Because by including fireworks, you now made me vote against 1, 2, and 4. So I think an indicative indication on each option in turn, and then we try and form a composite proposal.
Yeah.
So we have a proposal on the table. Being seconded.
Just spoken against it, Councillor.
No, it's Councillor Hope's proposal.
Both.
I am happy to second. Yeah, I'll come right back if I think about it.
Okay, so, this is an en bloc vote. One, two, option one, option two, just for clarity, for those doing option one, is the live music community concert on the beach or Ludmore. Option two is the seafront fireworks display, and option four is the small grant for community celebrations.
This is my clarity, Jen.
Okay,
If I do not agree with one of those options, can I just be clear that this is forcing me to vote against it then? Yeah, it is, isn't it? I just want to,
Yeah, then you can make a
that's
recommendation.
fine, but if it falls, then we can go back to.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
but we need to, we've had.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I appreciate that, Chair.
So this is option one, two, four. See how it pans out and then we move forward from there.
Yeah.
So, all those in favour of the approval of options one, two, and four on block.
1, 3, 4.
No, it's killing me.
All those against
2, 3, 4, 5.
and any abstention?
Just didn't want to cast them.
I would like to propose,
This is your backup plan.
yes, this is my back.
Go for it, councillor.
May I propose we go through option each, and every option that secures a majority of the committee is therefore. For instance, I wouldn't vote for. Good pine option, I would vote for a good idea, but.
Issue, I'm thinking about one day.
If for some reason they all go through, we don't have enough funds, if we do indicatively, it may
That's
be
what
at
I'm
the end.
saying, let's do an informal
Yeah,
vote.
yeah.
Option one,
Then meet that problem if it comes up.
Yeah. So indicative vote. Indicatively in favour of option one. All those against? Not doing indicative vote. You heard it in. So, option two, seafront fireworks display, indicative vote in favour of seafront firework display. Okay, just for clarity, indicative vote against option two, seafront firework display. And abstentions on that.
Oh,
Needs to be
sorry.
a clear yes or no.
Yeah, it's a clear
Okay,
yes.
fine. So, option three. So far, we have a clear indication towards option one, less so towards option two. Option three, promenade street party. All those in favour, all those that are yes to promenade street party. All those who are leaning away from that, no, the promenade street party. Okay. Indicative again for option four, the small grants for community celebrations. All those in favour, indicatively in favour, I should say, for clarity. Wonderful, that one stays in the mix. And option five, Victory Day Festival, craft picnic and play. All those in favour of that. All those against it.
5 against and 3.
So, for clarity, what we left with?
Option
No,
1.
that doesn't make sense, Chair, sorry.
Something
You can't
different.
have. 5 to, not 8, so is it?
The people not voting.
It's an indicative vote, so
Obviously.
it's either a yes or a no, so.
You can't make him vote.
No, I know, just to be clear. It doesn't make a difference, I'm just. To be clear.
So, the ones that have been indicated by members are,
Option 1, live music community concert at the beach or Logmore. And option 4, small grants for community celebrations.
those are the two that indicatively we look like that we're leaning towards. Councillor O'Leary.
Chairman, can I make a suggestion that I believe that the committee would like to go for option one and option four? Can I propose that those are the two, please?
Second.
Leave out second,
Yeah, Councillor Fern.
Are you proposing the beach or Logmore for option 1?
the beach.
You nearly said little more then, didn't you?
A little bit, I would be happy to propose such an.
Option one,
So live music community concert on the beach and option 4, small grants for community celebrations.
Councillor Fern, you happy to stick with that be a second? So we'll take that to the vote. All those in favour? All those against? And abstention. So option 1 on the beach and option 4 are carried. Very much, Charlotte. You've been very patient on this very lengthy night. Right, moving on. So we have done items up to 12. So we now move on to item 13, being introduced by Councillor Thurman regarding the pitch related to the skate park art project. Go.
Nice quick one, members. So you've got the PID before you in the documents. It is of no cost to the council in terms of materials or artists. That I've been approached by a member of the public who would like to do a remembrance mural for one of their friends that has kind of gone up in other spaces, places, as far as Boomtown Festival and things like that. So the only thing I would just be mindful for the council, I think we might get asked to maybe put some Harris fencing around when it's been done, just to keep off the local wonderful youths of Mighty Western. But yeah, that's it, and I think it's great, and we got approached for it, and it's really great. I think on top of that, I think we're all aware that skate parks can draw in some ASB and some negative graffiti. This is a really positive piece of artwork. So I propose if I could get a second out.
Seconded by Councillor Hope. Would anyone like to speak to the item, or should we move to Councillor Dickinson?
Will you get to see what it is that they're going to put on, Alex?
Yeah, I thought there was an image in. Is there not an image in the report? I'm sorry. I have got an image for you, Councillor. If you
We need to do an update to next ENS anyway, so we can move it at that point.
So on that basis, I've been feeling the room is that we move to a vote. We've got proposer, seconder, outline of what's going on from Councillor Thurman. All those in favour? Unanimous. Right. Right, moving on. Item 14 is information items. Any council questions regarding information items should have been submitted in advance of the meeting. I'm just recommending, the recommendation is that members note the information items are contained within your agenda pack.
So are you not allowing